Dad, it's me. I'm alive. The words fell into the street and time seemed to stop. People walking past slowed. A driver forgot to honk. A group of men in suits turned their heads. The millionaire stood there, keys still in his hand, breath stuck in his chest, staring at the dirt-covered boy who had just stepped out of the shadows. The boy was thin, wrapped in layers that did not match. His shoes were split open at the toes. His hair was matted with dust and rain, but his eyes were steady. They held a kind of truth that did not beg, did not shout, and did not explain. The millionaire's face drained of color. He had built towers of glass and steel, controlled rooms full of powerful people, and faced storms of money and pressure without blinking. Yet now his hands shook. Because the last time he had heard that voice, it had come from a hospital bed, soft and fading, followed by silence that never left him. Around them, the city kept breathing. The smell of car fumes mixed with roasted nuts from a nearby cart. A cold wind slid between buildings. No one spoke. No one stepped in. Everyone waited. The man's name was Daniel Hart. To the world, he was a self-made giant. To business magazines, he was a symbol of success. To charity boards, he was a donor whose name filled banners and plaques. But deep inside, he was a father who had buried a child. Or so he believed. The boy stood still, barefoot on cold stone, his hands hanging loose at his sides. He did not reach out. He did not cry. He simply stood there, as if he had already waited years for this moment and could wait a few seconds more. Daniel tried to speak, but his throat refused. His eyes searched the boy's face, moving over every detail, every scar, every line. His heart pounded with fear, hope, and something darker. Because if this boy was who he said he was, then everything Daniel thought he knew about his past was wrong. The crowd felt it too. A tension thick enough to touch. A story unfolding in real time, with no warning and no safety net. Long before Daniel became a millionaire, before the suits and headlines, he had been a young father with tired eyes and a hopeful heart. He had married young, worked long hours, and dreamed small dreams that felt big at the time. His son, Noah, had been born on a rainy night. Screaming with life, gripping Daniel's finger with surprising strength, Daniel remembered the smell of baby soap, the warmth of a tiny body against his chest, the way Noah laughed at nothing and everything. Those memories lived inside him like soft light. But life had not stayed kind. When Noah was 7, a fire tore through their apartment building. Smoke filled the halls. Flames climbed walls like living things. Daniel had been away on a business trip, chasing a deal that would change everything. His wife had called him screaming, coughing. Then the line went dead. By the time Daniel reached the city, the building was ash and sirens. He found his wife alive, burned and broken, but Noah was gone. The doctor said the boy had not made it. The body was too damaged to identify, they said, but the timing, the size, the records all matched. Daniel believed them because believing was easier than hoping. His wife never recovered from the grief. She faded slowly, quietly, until she was gone too. That was when Daniel turned his pain into steel. He built his empire with sleepless nights and ruthless focus. He gave money to hospitals, to fire safety programs, to children's charities. He spoke about loss at events, his voice steady, his eyes empty. He never spoke Noah's name out loud. The boy standing in front of him now knew all of this. He knew because he had lived the other side of that night. Noah had survived the fire. A neighbor had pulled him from a window and left him with emergency workers before disappearing into the smoke. In the chaos, records were mixed. Names were lost. Noah was sent to a shelter, then another. His burns healed, but his life never settled. He waited for his parents. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into years. No one came. He learned to sleep lightly. He learned to guard his food. He learned that asking questions did not bring answers. When he aged out of the system, the streets took him in with cold hands. He grew up watching the world rush past him. He watched men like Daniel Hart on screens in store windows, talking about success and charity. He recognized the face immediately. He never forgot it. For years, Noah stayed away. He told himself his father had moved on, that he did not want to reopen wounds. But hunger and loneliness have a way of pushing truth to the surface. That morning, Noah had seen Daniel step out of a black car, laughing with investors, his coat perfectly pressed. Something inside Noah finally broke open. Now they stood face to face. Daniel's mind raced. This cannot be real. This must be a trick, a cruel joke. But his heart whispered something else. It whispered his son's name. Security moved closer. A man in a dark jacket placed a hand near his radio, ready to pull the boy away. In their eyes, it was just another homeless kid causing trouble. Daniel raised a hand. Without looking, "Stop." The word came out quiet but firm. Everyone froze. The boy spoke again, his voice calm, steady. "You left your watch on the sink the night of the fire? The blue one with the cracked glass?" Mom yelled, "Because you were always late." Daniel's knees almost gave out. No one else knew that. The crowd leaned in, breath held. Phones stayed down. No one wanted to break the moment. Daniel whispered a name. "Noah." The boy nodded once. Tears filled Daniel's eyes. But they did not fall. Years of control held them back. He took a step forward, then stopped. Afraid that moving would break the fragile truth standing in front of him. "I thought you were gone," he said, his voice rough. The boy answered with words that would echo in the minds of everyone who heard them. "I was lost, not gone." Those words carried years of hunger, cold nights, and quiet survival. The security team waited for orders. The crowd waited for something dramatic. But what came next was silence. Daniel took off his coat and held it out. Not as a show. Not for cameras. Simply as a father offering warmth to his child. Noah accepted it slowly. The fabric was heavy, warm, smelling faintly of clean laundry and city air. He wrapped it around himself, and for the first time, his shoulders relaxed. Someone in the crowd wiped their eyes. Another person lowered their head. Daniel spoke again, louder now, not to the boy, but to everyone. "This is my son." No explanation followed. None was needed. The security stepped back. The street seemed to soften. Even the wind eased. Daniel placed a hand on Noah's shoulder. His touch was careful, as if Noah might disappear. He did not pull him close. He let Noah choose the distance. "We have time," Daniel said. "We can talk. We can fix what was broken." Noah looked up at the tall buildings, at the faces watching, at the life his father had built without him. Then he looked back at Daniel. "Some things cannot be fixed," he said gently, "but they can be faced." That line settled deep into the crowd. Daniel nodded. Accepting the truth in it, they walked together toward the car. Not as a rescue scene, not as a spectacle, but as two people stepping into a conversation delayed by years. The driver opened the door and stepped away. Eyes lowered in respect. As Noah climbed in, he paused and looked back at the crowd. He spoke one last line that would be shared and remembered. Being seen is the first step to being found. The door closed softly. The car drove away, leaving behind a street full of people who had witnessed something rare. Not wealth, not power, but truth, reclaiming its place. Later, the story would spread. Headlines would twist it. People would argue and question. But those who were there knew what they saw. A father confronted by his past, a son who survived without bitterness. A moment where money meant nothing and honesty meant everything. Daniel would open his home to Noah, but more importantly, he would open his time. He would listen to stories that hurt to hear. He would sit in silence and let his son speak when ready. Noah would learn what safety felt like. Not luxury, but presence. Not gifts, but attention. Their bond would not heal overnight. Some scars stay, but they would walk forward together, step by step. Without pretending the past never happened, and somewhere in the city, other unseen lives would keep moving, carrying their own stories. Waiting to be recognized, because the world is full of people who are lost, not gone. If this story moved you, take a moment to reflect on the people you pass every day. You never know whose story is standing right in front of you. Share where you are watching from, and tell us what this moment meant to you. Subscribe for more stories that honor silent strength, hidden truth, and the power of being seen.